Evam pravartitam chakram anuvartayatyayaha agayur indriya ramo mogham partha chadivati. Translation. My dear Arjuna, one who does not follow in human life the cycle of sacrifice thus established by the Vedas certainly leads a life full of sin, living only for the satisfaction of the senses. Such a person lives in vain. Purport. The Mammonist philosophy of work very hard and enjoy sense gratification is condemned herein by the Lord. Therefore, for those who want to enjoy this material world, the above mentioned cycle of performing yagyas is absolutely necessary. One who does not follow such regulations is living a very risky life, being condemned more and more. By nature's law, this human form of life is specially meant for self-realization in either of the three ways, namely Karma Yoga, Yagya Yoga, or Bhakti Yoga. There is no necessity of rigidly following the performances of the prescribed yagyas for the transcendentalists who are above vice and virtue. But those who are engaged in sense gratification require purification by the above mentioned cycle of yagya performances. There are different kinds of activities. Those who are not Krishna conscious are certainly engaged in sensory consciousness. Therefore, they need to execute pious work. The Yagya system is planned in such a way that sensory conscious persons may satisfy their desires without becoming entangled in the reaction of sense gratificatory work. The prosperity of the world depends not on our own efforts, but on the background arrangement of the Supreme Lord, directly carried out by the demigods. Therefore, the yagyas are directly aimed at the particular demigods mentioned in the Vedas. And directly is the practice of Krishna consciousness, because when one masters the performance of yagyas, one is sure to become Krishna conscious. But if by performing yagyas one does not become Krishna conscious, such principles are counted as only moral codes. One should not, therefore, limit his progress only to the point of moral codes, but should transcend them to attain Krishna consciousness.
So, Prabhupada mentions here at the end, one should not be satisfied just simply with practicing moral codes. You know, people have that impression. They think, I'm a good person. I'm very moral. You know, I don't tell any lies. I don't steal. I don't break the laws. I'm very moral. And they think that's enough. But Prabhupada says here it's not enough. He said they have to become Krishna conscious. We have to recognize, we have to recognize there's a proprietor, personalities behind this world. And there's one supreme personality over all the personalities. There's one supreme being controlling everything. And we have to recognize his position and work for his pleasure. That is the purpose of yagya, or sacrifice. Yagya, we have to do sacrifice. So Prabhupada mentions the different processes which we can practice some self-realization. Self-realization, of course, is not a yagya, but it's a pure, that's for the ultimate goal of life. But even those who are not interested in self-realization, they still have to do yagya. The importance of yagya, performing sacrifice for the pleasure of the Supreme. Just like you live in a country, you have to pay taxes. Why do you have to pay taxes? Because the country takes care of you. They provide schools for education. They have a hospital if you get sick. They have police forces to protect you. In different ways, we're getting service from the government, and we have to pay tax to them. So in the same way, we're all obliged to the supreme force behind the world, and we have to pay tax. The tax comes in the form of yagya, in the form of sacrifice, performing sacrifice for the pleasure of Vishnu or Krishna. So Kali Yuga sacrifice, the yagya, is the chanting of the holy name. That is the actual yagya, the real sacrifice through the chanting of the holy names. And when we perform the yagya properly, then you'll see how life becomes peaceful and satisfying. Just like if you're a criminal and you're not following the laws, you're always worried, when are the police going to come and arrest you? And so in the same way, you know, just like in Switzerland, if you go on the bus and you don't have the proper ticket, the policeman may come and they get you and they fine you. So these things happen. So the same way, if we don't do yagya, then we're in the same position. Our life is very, very precarious, very dangerous. We're in a very troublesome situation. So very important, people have to learn to do proper yagya. And in this way, everyone becomes satisfied. We perform sacrifice for the pleasure of Krishna, and by satisfying Krishna, then all the other demigods are all satisfied. Right? Any questions?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, when in the incarnation of Krishna, example like Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, all these considered demigods, Maharaj?
No, not at all. They're not considered demigods. They're considered avatars. Avatar means one who descends. They come from the spiritual world. So Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Nrsimha, they're all avatars. They're all forms of the Lord, the Supreme Lord himself, coming in different forms. They're not considered demigods. Demigods are on a different platform. Demigods are jivas, but when these different avatars, they're all Vishnu himself. They're the Supreme Lord who takes different forms. But the demigods are jivas, they're living entities. They take birth and they die. But the avatars, they don't die. They have eternal forms. So there's a gulf of difference between the demigods and the Supreme Lord. This is something you have to understand carefully. Now people worship demigods like Ganesh and Durga and Lord Brahma, sometimes even Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is a very special demigod, but still he's also considered the demigod. He's not exactly the Supreme Lord. But at the same time, he's more than just the ordinary demigod, because he's almost God. He has a special relationship with the Supreme Lord. But he's not the Supreme Lord. But there are 33 crore demigods, and they're in charge of the different functions of the material world. Just like Indra is the god of rain, Vayu is the god of wind, Agni is the god of fire. Like there's so many different demigods for everything. There's some demigod in charge. There's a demigod to help us digest our food. There's a demigod controlling our movements of our eyes. Everything. Many, 33 crore, 330 million demigods. And they're jivas, they're living entities. All right, they've taken that position on account of their piety. But Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, they're Lord Vishnu. Now, Lord Vishnu has his different forms, different incarnations. And we know they have particular purpose in appearing. Just like Lord Krishna describes in the Bhagavad Gita, why he appears and his purpose in coming in this world. He comes to, one purpose is to give pleasure to his devotees and to annihilate the demons. And he also comes to re-establish principles of religion. And sometimes he comes to adjust some anomaly, some problem within the universe. Just like as Lord Varaha, he picks up the earth from the bottom of the universe. And as Lord Matsya, he saved the Vedas when there was an inundation and flood. Do you understand?
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you.
Any other question?
Guru Maharaj, I didn't understand this line. The Yagya system is planned in such a way that sensory conscious persons may satisfy their desires without being entangled in the reaction of sense gratificatory work.
Yes.
So, yeah, so if we offer it to the demigods or Supreme God, then we don't have any reactions for like.
Well, that somebody wants something material, they have some material desire, right? Maybe they want to get wealth. So they perform a yagya and they may satisfy the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi. And Lakshmi may bestow her blessings on them and they get the money they wanted. So that's a yagya planned so that the person who wants sense gratification can satisfy his desires and without being entangled in the reactions of sense gratificatory work. He didn't have to do any kind of material sense gratification to get the money. He did it by a Vedic system, by performing a yagya, pleasing Lakshmi. And she was pleased to bestow the Lakshmi, the money the person wanted. The same way, different desires are there. Somebody has a health problem, they may worship the sun god, and they do a yagya to satisfy the sun god. And somebody has an exam, they may worship the goddess Saraswati, the goddess of learning, to do well in their exam. And in this, so they're not getting any reactions for that because they're following a Vedic system.
Yes, Guru Maharaj.
Reactions of sense gratificatory work. Sense gratificatory work. We're working to get something from somebody else. So, this is the law of karma. You're under the law of karma. Sense gratificatory work means the law of karma. You're working to get something, and you have to do something, maybe, and you will do something which is maybe not good karma. You will act against the laws of the Vedas. You do some vikarmic activity. You take part in some sinful activities or something to get the money. Somebody may gamble, and somebody may cheat to get the money. And this way you get karma. But if you do the yagya, you don't get karma. But if you try to satisfy our material desires by just doing some material activities, there'll be karma. And that karma will keep you entangled in the material world. Of course, the yagya is also material, but it's according to the Vedas. So in some ways, there's some benefit there. You're not going to get the reactions from it. You'll get you can get the results you want from it without being punished, without having any unpleasant reactions. That's the point.
I have a question, Guru Maharaj. So if somebody is used to with the Vedic tradition and used to offering sacrifice or obeisances to the demigods, and later on, if we are doing the same sacrifices but with the intention for Krishna consciousness, is it okay?
Yes. Well, no, generally we don't, you can't worship demigods really in Krishna consciousness. That's not really the process, although, well, to worship the demigods, you see, you have to understand the worship which you offer to the demigods is actually meant to be offered to the Supreme Lord. So if you give it to the demigods without giving it to Krishna, there's a problem there. You've not recognized who is actually the proprietor. We're meant to offer to Krishna. Now, there are some rare cases of people who would worship demigods, understanding the demigods to be a part of the body of the Supreme Lord. Just like the sun god is the eye of the Supreme Lord. And the different demigods, they all represent some organ, some part of the body of the Supreme Lord. So if you worship a demigod in the mood that they are a part of the Supreme Lord, then you can do that, but it's not encouraged. It's not the usual way. Rather, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that whatever a man may offer to other gods is actually meant for me alone, but it is offered without proper understanding. So this is the problem. If you offer to the demigods, how are you going to do it in Krishna consciousness? You have to understand that demigod's relationship with Krishna. You have to understand how they represent one particular organ or one particular function of the body of the Supreme Lord. Then you could do it. But it's not the usual procedure.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Very clear.
Now we do have the example of the gopis. They worship Katyayani to get Krishna as a husband. This is an example which is often given of people, devotees who worship demigods. And so the gopis, they worship the goddess Katyayani. It's a custom among Brijbasi people that the young girls, before marriage, they will do this Katyayani Vrat, which involves taking a bath early in the morning in the Yamuna and worshipping the goddess Katyayani. And the purpose of them doing this, they want to get a good husband. So the gopis all did this, and they all wanted Krishna for a husband. So, so the gopis were allowed to worship Katyayani to get Krishna as a husband. That was allowed.
Prabhu, how is Mata Katyayani, why is she worshipped to get Krishna as a husband? She's Durga.
No, it's a ritualistic custom.
Okay.
Among the villages, in the village people, among the Brijbasi people, for the young girls, but before marriage, they should do this puja, you see, and then they'll get a good husband. So the gopis all wanted to get Krishna for a husband.
Okay.
And the gopis are all great devotees. And so they were performing this vrat to get Krishna for a husband. And Krishna satisfied their desire. He accepted all of them as his wife. Because what happened was, well, it's, it's a bit involved, but we can tell you briefly that Lord Brahma had stolen away the cowherd boys. So at that time, Lord Krishna expanded himself to take the place of all the cowherd boys. And that was the time Lord Brahma had stolen the cowherd boys away. It was a moment of Brahma's time. It was 1 year on this planet. And during that 1 year, all the cowherd boys were married. And so at that time, all the cowherd boys were Krishna, but nobody knew. Krishna was playing the part of all the cowherd boys. And each and every cowherd boy was married to a gopi. So all the gopis got Krishna for a husband. And this way Krishna satisfied their desires. Yeah, you worship different, just like you want to get a nice wife, you should worship Uma, the wife of Lord Shiva. And Uma, she's a very good wife, very beautiful, very chaste wife. And you worship Uma and you get a good wife. And the woman wants a good husband, she should worship Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is considered a very good husband. He's very faithful, very nice husband, very caring, loving for his wife. A woman wants a good husband, she worships Lord Shiva. And so it's also said the girl wants to get a good husband, she should worship Goddess Katyayani. Because Goddess Katyayani is controlling the material nature. She's Durga, right? So she can certainly arrange like this. Each of the demigods, they have some responsibility. So Katyayani has this function, her responsibility. She arranges the husbands and the wives or the marriages. So you please her, you get a good partner. Right?
Yes, Guru Maharaj.
So Guru Maharaj, sorry Guru Maharaj.
Go ahead. Yeah, question?
Yeah, so sometimes when I see the sun, I just pray that I understand that sun is the part of Krishna, and I pray sometimes to give good health, to do more Krishna conscious activities. Is it correct way or it's not needed, Guru Maharaj?
No, it's not needed. 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 It's not needed Well, it's very nice to pray to the Sun God, to do more Krishna conscious activities. Yes, very nice. You can pray like that. The Sun God is the most powerful planet in the universe. It's the eye of the Lord. So we can pray to the demigods also, that to bless us with Krishna consciousness.
Yes, Guru Maharaj.
That we can consider that the demigods, like the sun, they're good devotees. They're not pure devotees. We don't think of the demigods as being pure devotees, but they have some material desires. But they're taking a very big position in the universe. They must have performed many pious activities, and they've been given a big responsibility in the universe on behalf of Lord Krishna. So we have to pray to the demigods that we can also serve Lord Krishna. Just as they're doing service for Lord Krishna, we pray that we can also do some service on behalf of Lord Krishna. So like that. People like to worship demigods because generally it's easier to please them. The demigods are easily pleased, but they can also be easily angered. And they often give benedictions which may not be good for us. So you have to be careful in approaching the demigods. But Lord Krishna is very cautious that we may ask him for something, and Lord Krishna may think, well, this is not very good. Why are they asking me like this? And so Krishna will be very cautious about fulfilling our material desires. Because Krishna knows what's good for us. People are often impatient. They want results quickly. So they worship demigods. But then they get trouble. They get problems. So it's much safer to worship Lord Krishna. All right?
Yes, Guru Maharaj. .17, Piranglo Prabhu, do you want to read this?
Yes. Yes. Yas tvatmaratireva atmatriptascha manava atmani eva sa cha santushtas tasya karyam na vidyate. Translation. But for one who takes pleasure in the self, whose human life is one of self-realization, and who is satisfied in the self only, fully satiated, for him there is no duty. Purport. A person who is fully Krishna conscious and is fully satisfied by his acts in Krishna consciousness no longer has any duty to perform. Due to his being Krishna conscious, all impiety within is instantly cleansed, an effect of many thousands of Yagya performances. By such cleaning of consciousness, one becomes fully confident of his eternal position in relationship with the Supreme. His duty thus becomes self-illuminated by the grace of the Lord, and therefore he no longer has any obligations in the Vedic injunctions. Such a Krishna conscious person is no longer interested in material activities and no longer takes pleasure immaterial arrangements like wine, women, and similar infatuations.
So in contrast to the previous verse, Krishna is describing that if you're self-realized, you don't have to perform yagya because you're so transcendentally situated. You've understood your spiritual nature, you're fully satisfied. So there's no duty, there's nothing to be done. You don't need to do any yagya. This is Prabhupada said, this is the person who is fully Krishna conscious. Of course, we're not. We're trying to become Krishna conscious. But if you are in that position, very fortunate position, then you don't need to do any of these yagyas. You don't have to perform any sacrifice. You don't have to do Vedic injunctions, follow the Vedic injunctions and things. Because you're in Krishna, because you're so situated in transcendence. You've understood yourself as a spiritual being, part and parcel of Krishna. So there's nothing to do. Of course, this is an elevated position. You have to be very advanced. So we can become like that. But we have to go on. We have to follow the process. We have to purify the consciousness purify the heart through the chanting of the holy name and by doing all the different things which are mentioned here. But when we follow the Vedic injunctions, then we purify ourselves, we make advancement. We go on following them, we'll become self-realized, we'll actually come to understand our spiritual nature. Prabhupada said, Krishna conscious person is no longer interested in material activities. He's not attracted to wine and women and other infatuations, the pleasures of the material world. This is the so-called pleasure of the material world. This is the illusion of the material life. People are thinking wine, the opposite sex, enjoying. It's all temporary sense gratification, which ultimately leads to misery, leads to suffering. But if we become Krishna conscious, then we can overcome all of these things. So in the beginning, we have to endeavor to control, but naturally a taste awakens for chanting Hare Krishna. When you chant more, we get more attraction, we develop more interest, more taste for the chanting of the holy name. And we have no interest, wine, just some alcoholic substance, a horrible thing, makes you ill, doesn't do anything for you. And the attraction for the opposite sex also will give you so many troubles and problems. We have to learn to be peaceful and just control the mind. So understanding our spiritual nature is very important. This is the purpose of Krishna consciousness. But you have to follow the process. You have to follow the process which is given to us by the teachers, by the acharyas. They're telling us how to do it. We're always saying, oh, well, I don't like that part. Oh, I can't do this part. We have so many things, so many objections, and we try to change everything. And then we wonder why we don't get the result. But you didn't follow. Krishna said, as you surrender to me, I reward you accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects. So Krishna is saying, you get the results of what you deserve. If we don't surrender fully, we cannot expect to get the full result. So it's a gradual process. Gradually we become convinced that we need to surrender, we need to give up this independence, we need to take shelter of Krishna. Right? Everyone agree?
Completely
Yes.
agree. Yes. Wonderful. Thank you. Very difficult due to attachments and illusion and Maya, very strong. But like you said, we have to practice and
It appears to be very difficult. It appears to be difficult, but once you actually let go, you realize, it wasn't so difficult.
Yeah, because it's actually our eternal position to Krishna, to be with Krishna.
Right. And when we make a little attempt, Krishna helps us. Krishna, there's a verse, it says, the material existence appears like a big ocean, but when we surrender to Krishna, that ocean becomes like the water which is in the footprint of a calf. Becomes like a little pool, tiny pond. You can easily cross over it. You don't need a boat. In the beginning, we were thinking, I need a boat. Oh, it's so big. I got to cross this big ocean. It's so far. I need a boat. But once you actually surrender to Krishna, it becomes a very tiny amount of water. Very easy to cross over. Yes? Any other questions?
So Guru Maharaj, if they become fully Krishna conscious, they have to still chant the holy names, or it's not there?
If we become fully Krishna conscious, we will naturally chant the holy name without even thinking about it. We'll be chanting all the time in ecstasy. When we become fully Krishna conscious, we won't need to be counting how many rounds we chanted. We'll just chant incessantly. Lord Chaitanya himself had japa beads. He was carrying his beads with him. After he took sannyas, he went and he had his japa beads. He was carrying his japa beads. He was chanting. The Goswamis in Vrindavan, they also had their japa malas. They were chanting all the time. Yeah, we can't stop these activities. We have to keep chanting. But there's a difference in the mood that, we're thinking, oh, I still have 2 rounds to chant. Oh, I didn't finish my rounds yet. The Krishna conscious person won't be like that. They will be chanting all the time, naturally, spontaneously, because they've come to the higher platform. They're naturally Krishna conscious. We cannot imagine it. We're thinking in our conditioned state, we try to understand the mood of these devotees. Because we're so conditioned, we're so attached, we're so much in the bodily concept of life, it's difficult for us. But if we become Krishna conscious, the more we become Krishna conscious, the more you get a natural taste You know, like Prabhupada. We would always see Prabhupada chanting, hardly sleeping. Wake up, you know, if you woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning, you could go to Prabhupada's room, he'd be sitting there writing. So they didn't waste time eating and sleeping and mating and defending. And Prabhupada also said, he said, I gave up mating and defending when I was a young man. Now in my old age, I've also given up eating and sleeping. And so when you don't do these things, you have so much time to chant.
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Guru
Someone,
Maharaj, you said that the more we chant, the more we can develop attraction for Krishna, right?
yes.
So is it like I can chant only few rounds in 3 hours? Like, should I increase the number of rounds, or because my chanting is bit slow, it is the number of rounds, or it is okay if we can chant slowly, but how to do this, Guru Maharaj?
There are no rules for the chanting. They say, Lord Chaitanya said there's no rules in the chant. Some people may chant very quickly and other people may chant very slowly. But there is some need for, you know, a minimum amount of chanting we're supposed to do. And so Srila Prabhupada had given us that we should chant 16 rounds. And that's required. We have to chant 16 rounds. So you have to consider how you can chant a little bit. Maybe how long is it taking you to chant one round?
Guru Maharaj, it maybe 10 minutes. Sometimes the overall 16 rounds takes me 2.5 hours to 3 hours.
Oh, that's good. That's good timing. It's not so slow.
Okay.
That's pretty
Okay, good.
average. Pretty average, 2 to 3 hours. Yeah. Most devotees
Okay.
are in that position. Yeah.
Okay, Guru Maharaj. Yeah.
So keep chanting, and you always try to do more chanting. Keep your peace with you.
Yes, Guru Maharaj. I've never been able to do more chanting except on Ekadadi days. I do 25, but other days, yes, Guru Maharaj.
Oh, very good. You do 25 rounds on Ekadasi. Yeah, you should. Very nice.
Yeah, yes, Guru Maharaj.
So, yeah, keep chanting.
Yeah, I have a question, Gurudev.
Yes.
Gurudev, he says that a fully Krishna conscious person, therefore, he has no longer any obligations to the Vedic injunctions. Can you explain that, Gurudev?
Yes, Vedic conjunctions, you know, things like taking 3 baths a day and worshiping the forefathers and, you know, these different kinds of things. The morning prayers you're supposed to do, Vedic conjunctions, and offering to the forefathers, taking the bath and different times of the day. These are Vedic conjunctions. And then also at the age of 50, you're supposed to go and retire, go to the forest.
Oh.
You know, that Vanaprastha, you know, these kind of things.
Okay.
So Vedic conjunctions, you're not obliged to do these things. Vedic conjunctions, you're not supposed to cross the ocean. You're not supposed to,
So as per what they say here, a fully Krishna conscious person, which means, does it apply to sannyasis and even like very elevated devotees, or
yes.
only to sannyasis?
Yeah, that's right. Yes.
Mostly.
Yeah,
Oh.
fully Krishna conscious person means
Yes.
somebody who's fully engaged in Krishna's service,
Yes.
fully dedicated to the service of Krishna. So they're not required to do these kind of things like, you know, if somebody in the family dies, you should go to do some shrad for them. You're not required to do that. Or maybe there's a marriage, you're supposed to come for the for the marriage. You're not required to do that, you know, because you're already detached from all this.
Yes. But when a person dies, though, certain rituals so we have to perform. No good there.
Yeah, but if somebody's a sannyasi, they don't have to do it. Somebody else can do it.
But supposing in the family, supposing in the family, if
No.
that person is elevated and the other people are not, they are not devotees or they are half devotees, so then we have to perform all that for the other people.
No, they can do it. Because they're not devoted, but they're partly devoted, so that they should follow the Vedic injunctions. It's good for them.
Okay.
They should do these things. But one who is a fully Krishna conscious person, they don't have to do it. They may do it, but they don't have to do it.
Means for that person.
Yeah.
For the elevated person, they don't have to do all that.
Right.
Okay. Thank you, Gurudev.
Just like Prabhupada would do things like, young couples, he would get them married. The young man and the young woman would get them married, and Prabhupada himself would do the marriage. No, Prabhupada's a sannyasi. Sannyasi is not supposed to do a marriage, but Prabhupada would do it because for the benefit of the couple.
Yes.
That they needed to get married. There was nobody else to do the marriage. So Prabhupada would do it himself.
Yes.
But of course, gradually Prabhupada let other people do that. He didn't keep doing that. As soon as other people were there, let them do it. He had his disciples do the marriage.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we'll chant one round.
Yes.
Yes, Guru Maharaj.
Sorry, Guru Maharaj, I just wanted